Hello there, this is Shushmita. Welcome to this simple tutorial on Linea. So today we would talk about how to build a simple decentralized voting DApp on Linea called Linea poll. So before we dive into that, let's take a look at the demo of how our DApp would be. So I will try to connect my wallet. And to vote for the candidates, this is the candidate index number. I would have to pick and put the candidate index number and then vote for that. And yeah, there's one vote that's being added. And because I have voted once, I cannot vote for a second time with the same wallet. So it's not possible for me to vote, and as it shows, I have already voted. And after this remaining period of time ends, it will show that the voting period has ended and the candidates' results will be shown over here. So without further ado, let's dive into the tutorial. Before we dive into coding and get your hands dirty with code and all that, let's try to understand the simple architecture of our voting dApps and what are the technologies that will be used. So let's try to understand the flow first. So when a user goes to the simple voting tab, they can input the candidate index number and they can vote after that. And when the vote happens, it updates the candidate's vote count. And after that, when the voting period closes, the vote ends and no one can vote anymore. So to build this DApp, there's of course backend and the front end part of the DApp. So for the backend, we'll use hardhat, zkEVM, and we'll deploy on Linea. And for the front end, of course, we are going to use Next.js and Shadcn UI. And it might take a lot of time to set all of these things up and configure, but lucky for us, we have this amazing CLI that we can use, which will help us to get a head start on our journey. So this is the CLI, which we'll link it down to the below in the description of the video. This is our CLI that comes with all this WAGMI, Connect Wallet, Vim, and everything along with that. And you will get hardhat option, foundry option, and all of that with this CLI. So let's get started with that. Let's start building with the CLI. So for this, I'll copy this part and I'll head over to terminal and let's go ahead. I like using npm package manager. So simple voting DApp, and I will pick Next.js, of course hardhat for this tutorial, and of course the npm package manager. I'm not gonna finish this step because I already have all of this done, and let's get right into that. After the package finishes installing everything like the CLI, we will see something like this. It's a monorepo, and there's a blockchain folder and the site folder. Blockchain folder is where our contract will live, like hardhat, and site is where our front end and UI part will live, like Next.js, Shadcn UI, and all that. So let's head over to our contract part first. Let's take a look at our contract. So this is our contract, and I'm not gonna go over the whole contract. I will try to go over a few bits and pieces of this. So this is where we get initializing the contract, and this is where we are storing all the candidates, mapping to keep track of the voters, constructor function to initialize the contract, and we're setting the contract owner as the deployer who deploys the contract and the duration, and modify to restrict access owner only, and function for voters to cast their vote, function to get all the candidates and their vote counts, and this function is where we check if the voting is currently active or not, and when it ends, and for the remaining time period. So if the remaining time has ended, it will show that the voting period has ended. If not, it will show the remaining time period over here. So, and to deploy this contract, we'll need a module, like voting module, which is hard hat ignition. We are over here, we're importing the build module, and we're defining the module. Like for the voting module, we are setting the default values for candidates and voting duration. We are getting the parameters of default values. This can be overwritten when deploying the module, like each module you deploy, and this is deploy the voting contract and pass the default candidates duration to the constructor, and returning the deployed contract. So yeah, we'll also need .env. So I'm not gonna show you my actual env file, but we'll need inferior API key and your account private key, and it's already set up to Linea Sepolia. So yeah, let's head over to our terminal, and first we need to compile our contract. Okay, I'm not sure why it happens, but let's take a look at cursor. Oh yes, I think I know. I need to head over to this packages blockchain folder, and now I can compile the contract. I'm done compiling the contract. Now let's try to deploy a brand new contract. So this is the command that we'll use to deploy our contract. You can always simplify the deploy script. Yes. Looks like it's taking some time to deploy the contract on the blockchain. There we go. This is our new deployed contract, and we'll need that. So let's copy it and head over to our code editor. Now I think this part over here is kind of done. We'll also need the artifact, so we'll go to this file generates when we compile the contract. So over here we'll copy this from here to here, and we'll need that to integrate the smart contract on our front end. So let's go to the site part right now. So we'll create a file called constants.ts. Over here we will export const API, and we'll paste the API that we just copied. And for the contract address, we will paste the contract address that we just got from our terminal. So we'll edit this part, and after this we'll need to head over to src app and page.tsx. So over here we have multiple things that will take care of how we are reading the smart contract and integrating those on the front end. So over here we are of course importing a bunch of things. So we're importing use read contract and use write contract from WAGMI. let me mention quickly, if you see WAGMI config file, make sure you have this Linea Sepolia to deploy on Linea. And so yes, and also we will need this import contract address and contract ABI from that contract constants.ts file. So over here we're defining the structure of a candidate, and we're getting the connected accounts address, the wallet client, and the state of the input field where we are putting down the index number. And this is where we are getting the voting status, and we are also checking if the current user can vote, because one wallet can only vote once. And this is where we are reading how to get the remaining time period for voting, and this is where we are getting all the candidates and their vote counts. And this function will be used to cast the votes and the voting status. Catch here. And this is all just some front-end part. So when the voting period ends, this is how it will look like on the front end. It will say the voting period has finished, and it will also show like how each candidate or how much vote each candidate got. And so this was it for the decentralized voting tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you on the next one.